This house behind me, I'm in Salem, Massachusetts, was the home of Judge Jonathan Corwin. He presided over the trial of witches here in Salem back in 1692. 200 were accused, 40 found guilty, 30 or 40, and they executed by hanging 14 women and 5 men. But there's a lot more to it than just what happened historically. It starts right away across from Kitty Corner to the judge's house. You see a department store there with all kinds of witchy paraphernalia. And all around town,
You know about Salem. Actually, could have been 20 people who were executed. But there's an untold story, actually, untold stories that I don't think you are conversant with. Get back to that house I was standing in front of, the witch house, it's called, owned by that judge. When I went in there, I only went in there because I figured that's a judge's house, no problem, because I don't like going in a place where a spirit may attach to you or influence you or somehow affect you. And that happens. That happens a lot. So I went in there because it was the judge's house. Even asked the woman at the front desk, it's owned by the city for tours. I said, is this place haunted? No, it's not haunted. Found out that it's very haunted. One of the most haunted places in Salem, which people claim is one of the most haunted places in the United States. Yeah, that house, disembodied voices. Some people hear a girl there or up the street. They think it was this 5-year-old who was accused and never executed, but I guess jailed. People see weird dogs. They're black dogs, yellow birds that are bizarre, all kinds of apparitions and specters and so forth. In the house, the witch house, as well as the streets around it. Neighbors say spirits come in and out of houses there. So yeah, there's an issue there. And then it got more interesting because first of all, I found out that before the judge ever bought it, when it was being constructed, workers found bones on the site when they were digging a foundation. Bones. No one knows whose bones and so forth. This is before the witch trials. This judge got married, and with his wife Elizabeth, they had at least 5 kids who died. Some people say 8. And that she had 3 from a previous marriage that came in. One of those died. And one of the surviving kids, in another account, there were 2 surviving children, became a minister, and he later on died before Judge Corwin and his wife. All kinds of problems. Was it a curse? I don't know. There was a fellow there who was not hung, but instead was pressed to death. Pressed to death. And they say that when his name was Giles Corwin. They say Corey, when he was dying, he shouted out, "Damn you, I curse you in Salem." And he may have done just that. Anyway, strange, bizarre stuff has occurred all over the place, all over Salem, and in that house itself. You know what else was in that house? Something they call a poppet doll. Turns out it's a voodoo doll. Witches used it to curse with. It was started out in another house, a witch's house, the first witch executed at Salem, and now finds its way into the witch house. And there I am with a woman telling me it's not haunted, and I wouldn't have entered or gotten near it if I'd known. Anyway, a little voodoo there. And other things too. Come to find out that in the walls of the house or in the hearth was buried black or dark shoes in which items like fingernails from people who lived there or hair, strands of hair, pins, uh, fingernails, and urine, personal effects from these people, were kept to keep the spirits from the witches away from them. They also did this with bottles. They called them witch bottles. That's using the occult to fight the occult. So there's an untold story for you. First of all, we have the untold story of the bones that were there, and maybe who knows what that led to. And besides the death of those kids, who knows what role it could have played. And in the trial itself, because the judge lived there, what influence was he under? But the other untold story is They were practicing witchery, sorcery themselves, the accusers, the prosecutors, the judge, his family. And he wasn't quite the harshest one. So therefore, you have all of this stuff going on in that house and in other parts of Salem. I mean, some of the most vicious hauntings I ever heard. One of the most vicious hauntings I ever heard was on Newburyport nearby. Wow, in that case, the kid kept spiking 104-degree temperature because of antiques brought into the house. Got to be careful with this stuff. Watch where you move to and watch what you play with also. Salem, hey, I mean, this is a place that where you have the most famous witch in America, had a shop there, still sells stuff through another shop. There, it's the headquarters really for witches. They sit at night. You can see them coming with their hats on, and well, Halloween. Wow, that's some event. There's a mall there with occult shops, door by door by door. There's the Witch Museum there, and there's a statue even of Elizabeth Montgomery. You know, she starred in that television series called Bewitched. Graveyard, second oldest graveyard in the country, supposedly haunted right down the street from the witch's house. Worst of all is that in Salem is an old funeral home that is now owned by the Church of Satan with a big statue of a demon. This is rough stuff, difficult stuff. Be careful. Don't go there. Don't go to the witch's house. Don't bother. I just told you, if I would known what I know now, I wouldn't have gone in there. We had a few problems afterwards ourselves, tensions and so forth. Be very, very careful with this stuff. And you know, as far as untold stories, I wonder, is it a coincidence that during exorcisms, that things like hair is another thing that was put in a witch's bottle in that black shoe. Is it a coincidence that those who are possessed sometimes regurgitate, not to be gross, balls of hair and pins and fingernails or like objects? It really makes you wonder. Really makes you wonder how much we actually understand about what was going on there in Salem, Massachusetts.